Sanghavarjitah Nirvaira sarvabhuteshu Yah samameti pandava. So that is the verse for today. Mat karma krin mat paramo. So mat. What does mat mean? My. Alright? My. Yes. Karma. Actions, activities. Krit. Doing, performing. Correct. Parama. Supreme. Topmost. Alright? Bhaktaha. Devotees. Those who are engaged in devotional service. Sangha. Sangha, association, collection of people. Sangha also means attachment. Okay? Varjitaha. Varjitaha, to give up. Varjitaha means that which should not be done or to give up. Nirvairaha. Nirvairaha. Yes. A little without? Without enemies. Nirvairaha. Nirvaira also means no enemies or non-envious. Okay? So non-envious or no enemies. We'll see. Generally, Vairaha could mean the envious, or Vairaha could also mean somebody who is not favorable towards you, your enemy. So Nirvairaha. Sarva, all, everyone. Bhuteshu, unto. Bhuteshu means unto the living entities, towards the living entities. Okay? So Sarva Bhuteshu means for all the living entities, or towards all the living entities. Okay? Because it is Bhuteshu, shu, the word is there. If it was just Bhuta, then it would be living entities. But since it is Bhuteshu, towards or for, unto the living entities. Yaha, that person. Yaha means that person or this person. Yaha, this or that. Sa, that. So yaha, sa. That person that we are talking about is this person that is being referred here. So that is how the connection is. Mam, unto me. Eti. Eti. Not yati. The yati in the Himalayas. Eti comes. To come. Come towards. Okay? Pandava. Son of Pandu. Who's Pandu? The father of the Pandavas. So who's Pandu? A king. A king of the Kuru dynasty. A dynasty that ruled over the entire world at one point of time. Okay? Pandu. So, in this verse, Krishna is being very, very open about how how he benefits somebody who is his devotee, and therefore Krishna is being very biased here. Isn't that how it appears to be? He's only talking about devotees and he's saying that devotees would get this benefit. Is it alright for Krishna to be biased? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wow. Personally, right now I'd like to hold back my opinion. But I can see a lot of people are in favor of Krishna here. Like, they're ready to give a clean check to Krishna. Krishna, we are so much in favor of you that even if you are biased, it's okay with us. All right. So this is the 11th chapter. In the 11th chapter, Krishna has revealed his form. A very, very interesting and a very interesting form that is beyond all imagination, unimaginable. So why do we think that Krishna would need to do that? Why would Krishna want to show a form that is beyond our imagination? Because when he says he is biased in a particular way, under certain circumstances he is biased, then we will have to understand that his bias is not ordinary. His bias does not discriminate amongst people. And how does Krishna prove his point? He says, all right, if you think I'm an ordinary person, let me first prove to you that I'm not an ordinary person. And then he reveals that he's from the FBI. No, I'm saying, for example, here, if we have somebody who's the head of the FBI, is it Kash Patel?
Yes.
Yeah? How would you feel about that? There would be some awe and reverence, like, we better not do anything that crosses his way. Right? We try to be at the best behavior. So Krishna, he goes beyond that. He says, I am the head of the FBI, and this FBI has jurisdiction over multiple universes. So he shows his greatness through his Vishwarupa, exhibiting his Vishwarupa, which is called as the universal form here. It is also referred to as the Virata Rupa. Alright? Yeah. So maybe Krishna has a few centuries to his name too. Cricket. Virat. A lot of people in India, the name Virat simply brings about the memory of jersey number 18. At least this season, people are happy that he stood up to his name. Glory. So let's come back to Mat Karma Krit Mat Paramam. So the translation, let us see how the translation goes. My dear Arjuna, who is addressed as Pandava in the verse, he who engages in my pure devotional service, 1, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, 2, he who works for me, 3, who makes me the supreme goal of his life. 4, and who is friendly to every living being. 5, he certainly comes to me. So there are 5 points, 5-point program that Krishna lays down to explain how and why he could be biased towards an entity. So, is the bias from Krishna's side? Actually, no, it's not. Because Krishna does not say that only a few of these people would come. He says that it is an open house. This is an open house. Anyone can walk through and come to me, as long as they have a good credit score, they have sufficient down payment that they can put forth, walk into the house, open house. Right? Sufficient money in the bank, no police records. Correct? So those points are obviously these are not the points that I would consider here, but it's an open house. Krishna is expecting anyone to walk through and come to him, but they should be fulfilling these 5 criteria, 5 of them. Okay? And each one of them is connected to Krishna. It is to do with Krishna. How many points of consideration are there?
5.
Are we sure?
Yes.
Yes, it's 5. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada in his purport says, very interesting, which is one of the most famous verses of the Bhagavad Gita for those of you who consider yourselves to be a Pandit in Bhagavad Gita as it is, or on Bhagavad Gita as it is. Pandit means you have received blessings of Srila Prabhupada and you've understood the essence. Which verse stands out amongst all the 700 verses of the Bhagavad Gita? Like, oh, this is the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. Which verse is it? Arey, somebody is bold enough to say. Anyone else? You've heard of this verse? How many of us have heard of the verse that he is quoting? You've heard of the verse. What do you feel about the verse? Is it what is it called as? Charama Shloka. You've heard this designation given to this verse? There is actually, this is a true designation. The Sarva Dharman Parityajya verse is called as the Charama Shloka. So, would it be okay if we say that is a very, very important verse, like the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam, etc., etc. Yes? Well, Prabhupada in the purport to this verse says that this verse contains the summary of the entire philosophy of the Gita. Most probably Prabhupada, what do you think? Did Prabhupada know that later on in the 18th chapter he would have to also say something else? This was too early, right? But no. What is being expressed here is similar to what is being expressed in the 18th chapter. Very similar. Hence, if Prabhupada is saying that if we want to summarize the Gita right here in the 11th chapter, then this verse contains the summary of the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? And hence, this verse has been revered by a lot of philosophers and teachers as the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And the 5 points that have been mentioned by Krishna, they are technically called in the Yoga Siddhanta school of thought. A very, very prolific school of thought. Just like us, we are the Vaishnava school of thought. In the Yoga Siddhanta school of thought, they consider this 5 verses, or this verse of the Bhagavad Gita, with its 5 points, 5 qualifications to come to Krishna, as the sadhana panchaka of sadhana, of 5 kinds of sadhan or tools or qualities that are very, very essential to approach Krishna, to have the association of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Alright, so it's called as Sadhana Panchaka, the 5 qualities that we spoke of. Now these 5 qualities called as Sadhana Panchaka can be divided into 2 categories based upon what they are, what is the subject matter that they are dealing with. According to the Vishaya Tattva, the subject matter that they are dealing with, they can be divided into 2 broad categories. Okay? How many categories?
2.
How many?
2.
Everyone is okay with that? Alright, I'm just trying to keep myself awake. I'm just trying to be very interactive with my audience. I hope you don't mind my doing that. So, what are they? The first one is to perform one's actions with the intent of offering the results of those actions unto the Supreme Lord. Ishvara Arpana Buddhikrita Karma. Using one's intelligence to perform actions in as perfectly as possible. Therefore, the intelligence has to be applied in performing actions. Alright? Once Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, our temple in Vrindavan, India, and a devotee would every single morning when Prabhupada would come to take darshan and go on parikrama around the deities in Vrindavan. So in the morning he would take the darshan, called as the Shringara darshan, morning darshan of the Lord, and then he would go on parikrama, he would go around the deities. So you have to go out of the temple hall and keeping the deities on your right side, you go towards the back of the temple and come around into the temple hall again. So when Prabhupada would walk out of the temple hall to do his parikram, one devotee would be standing there, his disciple, with a flower in his hand to offer to Srila Prabhupada, because he had heard that one must make an offering to the Guru. So the first day Prabhupada accepted it, the second day Prabhupada accepted it, the third day Prabhupada had a different approach. He was thinking differently. He said, why don't you do something practical? So since that day, the devotee has been distributing Prabhupada's books. You'd have a bag full of books and you distribute books since morning through evening. And if you would ever meet him and you would spend, if he likes to talk. So if you spend some time with him, he'll tell you the story. And that is the only story he knows. So if you stay long with him, he'll repeat the story to you again. This is how Prabhupada blessed me and I'm very focused. Practical. So use your intelligence. Prabhupada wanted us to use our intelligence by performing our action. Prabhupada, Acharyas, any teacher would do that. Our elders would want to do that. You would want to, want your friends or your family members to use their intelligence when they work. Correct? So we have to use our intelligence to perform work such that it can be offered unto Krishna. The results can be offered unto Krishna. So that is the first one. Sadhana Panchak. So the first sadhan, the first tool in our toolkit should be this. Then secondly, the goal of all our actions has to be Krishna. Right? Now you may perform your actions, submit to Krishna, and then you could always say, hey Krishna, you go your way, I go my way, you send my salary in my bank account, we are good. But it is not just performing actions for Krishna or for Krishna and then offering the results. The offering of results is the tool that is important. Krishna Arpanam. Okay? The second tool is that you have to have Krishna as the goal of all of your actions, all of your thoughts. Krishna is the ultimate goal that you would like to achieve at the end of life. So when is the end of life? When would we consider individually, what would you consider being your end of life?
Death.
Any moment.
Death.
Any moment. Wow. So if somebody comes up to us any moment and says, hey, so what's your plan? End of life. My life could come to an end right now. Yes, that's a good start. On the practical platform, what could be the end of life? At the end of every day. Because you're not sure. Once you go off to sleep, you're not sure what's going to happen. You're no longer in control in one way. When you're awake, you're in control, right? So every day, at the end of the day, it is a good practice that we should look at our day and see if we have dedicated it to Krishna. At the end of the day, has my goal been Krishna or not? Second two. Okay? The Mat Paramo, Krishna is the goal. That is the achievement that I need to have in life. Third, be a devotee of Krishna. That is the third two, isn't it? So it cannot be on a part-time basis. It is a full-time job. That, hey, I'm a devotee of Krishna from 9 to 5, from 5 to 9. I'm trying to figure out. So it has to be a full-time endeavor. Okay? So Krishna is our client and we have contracted our life unto him full-time. Terms of contract, would you like to read them? We will sign on that paper. So that's the third two. And the fourth one is be free from unnecessary attachments. So what are unnecessary attachments? That which makes you stop on your journey forward. Anything that makes you stop. You should have intelligently planned your journey, but anything that makes you stop. Oh, just let's say that you're off, you decide to take a vacation, you're going some other place. And as you get into your car, you suddenly are wondering, did I actually put on the alarm? It's a good habit, you should definitely put on the alarm. But why are you thinking about it? Why don't you think about the neighbor when the neighbor leaves? Did the neighbor put on the alarm? If you are thinking about that, there is something very, very dark about that thought. Right? Why are we interested whether the neighbor has put on the alarm in their house or not? Obviously, our house we can think about it. So we are attached to the house and the contents in the house. Now it could also, we could definitely flavor it with the idea that I am attached to the house because the house belongs to Krishna. Well, breaking news. The street on which your house is, that also belongs to Krishna. The city in which your house is, that also belongs to Krishna, not just your house. That is breaking news. So, what are attachment? Attachment are all those feelings that stop us for a moment and make us think, is that safe? Would I have all of that if I come back? So attachment is not just, my husband, wife, children, grandparents, no, anything. It could just be, sometimes Prabhupada would say, it could just be your Rasagullah. Oh, Sunday feast, this time we do not have any Rasagullah. That could be the attachment. So, fifth two, to be free from attachment. Sorry, the fourth one. Sorry, fourth. I'm so sorry. Fourth. I stand corrected. And now the fifth tool. What is the fifth tool? Yes, nirvai. We should not harbor any negative feelings towards any living entity. We should not harbor negative feelings towards any living entity. So these are the 5 qualities that are called as the sadhana panchaka. So they are categorized into 2 broad groups based upon what vishaya, what is the subject matter that these qualities are addressing. So what are those 2 groups? The first group consists of 3 qualities, and obviously the second group would be 2 qualities, right? So the first group that comprises of 3 qualities, it deals with the subject matter of connection with Krishna, closeness to Krishna, attachment to Krishna. Those are the first 3 qualities. It is all about attachment to Krishna. So it deals, Krishna is a subject matter, Krishna in person. The next 2 qualities is addressing our connection with the material world. So first 3 qualities is related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. What are they? Actions performed with good intelligence such that we can make an offering of the results of those actions unto Krishna. So actions performed for Krishna's pleasure. Second, Krishna is the goal of our life, all our activities, thoughts, everything. And third, be a devotee of Krishna, perform devotional service. So these are the 3 qualities that are in relationship to having a strong attachment for Krishna or being very strongly connected with Krishna. Krishna Ghanishtata. And the other 2 qualities is about how we should deal with or what should be our connection with the material world. So it is called as material world Srishti Sambandha Vichhed. Our connection with the material world is such that we identify ourselves as different from the material world. It is just our field of activity, that's it. Your workplace, how do you identify with it? I mean, if you actually go to your workplace to work, how do you identify with it? The place where you log in and log out. Correct? Is there any other way you identify with it? How do you identify with your home? Log in and log out?
No.
Not the place where you only log in. Isn't it? And therefore, when you have remote work, you never log out of your home. Yes? So the material world is just your workplace. It is your kshetra, field of activity. Okay. So, what are the first 3 qualities? Mata karma krit, that is the first one. What is the second one? Mat paramaha. What is the third one? Mad bhaktaha. And what are the other 2 qualities? What is the fourth? Sangha varjitaha. And fifth? Nirvairaha. And anyone who has these 5 qualities has Krishna within his hands. Anyone who has these 5 qualities, Krishna becomes their property. Who says so? Shri Srimad 1008 Rohini Priyadas? No. Krishna says so. Mameti, that person comes to me. So Krishna invites such a person to his house, to his abode. Okay. So we should be very, very careful, and we should try to meditate on this verse, where it is very explicitly being stated in simple terms that anyone who performs actions for the sake of the Lord and consecrates all actions unto Him, serves the Lord with his heart and soul, regards the Lord as his supreme goal, who lives only for the purpose of pleasing the Lord, who only works for Him alone, who sees the Lord in everything, who sees the whole world as the cosmic form of the Lord, and therefore does not desire or does not harbor any feeling of hatred or enmity towards any creature, even if one has suffered great injury done by others, unto one who has no attachment or love to wealth, children, husband, wife, friends, relatives, etc., and who seeks nothing else but the Lord, realizes Him and reaches Him in His abode. I'm not sure if that was dramatic enough or not, but I tried to use a lot of adjectives. I tried to put in so many words that could make this very, very impactful. Like, okay, this for the Lord, that for the Lord, even that for the Lord, consider this. So many things, right? So if you have been asleep during that, yeah, for paucity of time, we are not going to repeat it again. So these 5 qualities are utmost essential for sense control. They are utmost essential to be very, very successful in our devotional practices or sadhana. And these 5 verses, or these 5 points in this verse, they comprise all other principles that you may have heard, any other rules and regulations that you may have heard of. They are the essence of all other instructions that could help you advance in spiritual life. Hence, Srila Prabhupada says that this verse contains the essence of the philosophy in the Gita. So what is mat karma krit? Let us go to each of these 5 qualities and have fun, right? Have fun means have discussion that could be a light discussion. So mat karma krit. What does mat karma krit mean? Chanting, glorification of the Lord, meditation, good association, reading the scriptures for self-purification, and any other activity that you can think of, farming for the Lord, gardening for the Lord, cooking for the Lord, etc., etc., etc. Or, depending upon how you see yourself in terms of the species that you are in, depending upon whether you consider yourself to be a woman or a man, you consider yourself to be married or single, you consider yourself to be renounced or not renounced, you consider yourself to belonging to a particular caste, community, some distinctions, etc., country. You consider yourself in terms of time as being young or old, middle-aged. You consider yourselves according to your circumstances like healthy, not so healthy, fit, unfit, wealthy, not so wealthy, etc., etc. So in whatever categories you visualize yourself, because we have this ability to really categorize ourselves. We like it. Like, if you're going to Vrindavan, you would want to put on a t-shirt that says, I lost my heart in Vrindavan. If you're going to Mayapur, you would want to put on a t-shirt that says, I lost my heart in Mayapur. Is it true? Now, if you put on a t-shirt that says, I lost my heart in Vrindavan, and you come to Mayapur, every single person would ask you. You'd get a lot of attention, isn't it? In Mayapur, you have a t-shirt that says, I lost my heart in Vrindavan. A lot of attention. But if you have a t-shirt that says, I lost my heart in Mayapur, people are like, yeah, that's okay. Right? Now you want to categorize yourself as, oh, today I have put tilak that has come from right the lotus feet, or that has been offered to Shri Shri Radha. The deities here? Madan Mohan. And somebody says, I went to New Vrindavan, there I got Chandan Prasad, Tilak Prasad. That was offered to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra. There, that day you are going to tell everyone this tilak. You want some pressure? So we identify ourselves in so many ways, we categorize ourselves in so many ways. According to the Vedic system, the categories are like, okay, are you a teacher, or are you in security services, are you a businessman, the Varna system. So wherever you are, because you are engaged in those activities, or if you are performing activities like chanting, or you're doing kirtan, japa, or you're engaged in meditation, or you're standing in front of the deity like this and just in deep meditation chanting some prayers, oh Krishna, please let me have this house for whatever, deep meditation. You're in association, yeah, let us go to the swimming pool and have kirtan in the swimming pool. Devotee association. Reading scriptures for purification. When the beginning, the middle, and the end of all such activities, when we are trying to offer it to Krishna, when we are thinking of how we can make it as an offering to Krishna, that is called as Mata Karma Krita. Basically, it means practically, if we really want to be very, very extreme on our ideas of what it means to be devoted to Krishna, then an extreme idea is, as you breathe in, you're offering your breath to Krishna, and you breathe out, you're offering your breath to Krishna. Try it out. No, I'm saying try it out later on. So that is Mat Karma Krit. So the next time if you feel that somebody is so great that they're offering so many things to Krishna, and maybe one day I would be able to emulate them, you may also want to include another point in your action, and that is breathe in, offer to Krishna, breathe out, offer to Krishna. Just going to extremes, I'm being very, very fanatic right now. Because it is so easy to say that with every breath one should remember Krishna. Forget every breath, every beat that I chant on, it's so difficult to remember Krishna. Every breath. Wow. So karma krit. That is what Krishna is emphasizing, or wants to emphasize when he says mat karma krit. What does mat karma krit also mean? It means that whenever we perform activities like study of the Vedic scriptures, we perform activities like engaging in Vedic sacrifices. Swaha, $10,000 swaha. Sacrifices, Vedic sacrifices. Why is this point coming up? Because whenever we think of activities that can be offered to Krishna, that somehow or the other, these activities sound to be, let us say, they sound to be very attractive. Visiting the temple and making an offering on your birthday, on your anniversary. So any kind of activity which we perform with lot of affection, including reading the Vedic scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, when we do it. We should do it such that our work is for Krishna. That is the understanding of Mata Karma Krit. Hare Krishna. That is not the end of the lecture. Mata Karma Krit. The psychology of work, typically every person's psychology towards work is focused in two ways, or it manifests in two ways. There are two considerations towards work from the psychological point of view. The first way is where we are focused on the externals. The second approach psychologically is where we are focused on the internals. Make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Like cricket match. You're watching a cricket match. So what is the externals? Oh, who's come to bat? Who's bowling? Where are the fielders? Where did the ball go? You're so much involved in that. Your eyes and then your entire body, the ball is there. You use your entire body, right? Externals. What is the internal? The internal is 4 runs, 1 ball. The bowler is taking his time, the batsman is taking his time, and everyone in the stadium is like, not bowled as yet. That is internal. Isn't that the psychology? Is that the psychology? So when you write or the results, when the results, you've given an exam and the results have been announced. What is the external? You're watching out, searching for your result. And what is internal? Please, 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 please. What is going on internally? So every action has these two elements from the psychological point of view, correct? So within the external, because action has to be goal oriented, typically those actions where we are focused on on the externals, goals are of two kinds. One is the goal that you'd want immediately, tangible, perceivable to you. Alright? That which you can use your senses to realize those goals. So such goals are called as Laukik goals. What are they called as? Laukik goals. And the other goals where you are focused on the external is where you hope that such actions can bring about a change. You're hoping. And basically your hope is based upon faith. Such goals where your hope is based upon faith are called as paramarthik goals. Those goals are based upon your faith on the Param person, the Supreme Person. So that artha, that goal is a paramarthik goal. So there is a Laukik Laksha and a Paramarthik Laksha. Laukik goal, which means tangible through your senses, and Paramarthik. So why are we doing this? Because Gita means we have to analyze, isn't it? Gita is not the storybook. Gita is a situation where somebody like Newton is wanting to analyze why the apple falls down. And the stories of Krishna is like, let the apple fall down, we'll make apple chutney out of it. So since we are discussing the Bhagavad Gita, it has to be a little analytical. Correct? So, mat karma krit, paramarthik and lokik goals. Paramarthik and lokik goals when you are focused on the externals. And when you are focused on the internal, it is your emotions, your emotional state, the goals. Whenever there is the result comes out, and let's say you get your promotion, or you've get good grades, whatever has been the goal that you set, you have achieved that. Why do people ask, are you happy? I mean, here are the results. Even after looking at the results, they said, oh, you must be so happy now. Why? Because along with the external goal, there was an internal goal too. The psychology. Which is so you want to be satisfied emotionally, and you also want to be satisfied externally. Such satisfaction has to be connected to Krishna. That is called as Mata Karma Krit. So all actions wherein you used your senses, including your mind and your intelligence, your ego, it should be performed such that it is a good offering for Krishna. So it's not just actions. It is also, because actions are external, what can be seen by the senses. They are just laukik. So sometimes you make an action. So today I would like to, because I got some favorable result, I would like to make a donation to the temple. So you make a donation. So that is a laukik goal. You make a donation. Then you say that because I got a favorable result, I would like to dedicate a portion of whatever I've received for a project. And that becomes paramarthik. Because the project and its success is dependent upon the mercy of Krishna. You do that. So you understand external goals now? What is the internal goal? The internal goal is, please pray for me. Please let Krishna be satisfied with what I am making an offering. So that is the internal goal. So when we use our mind, intelligence, senses, this body to perform an activity, all of these should be offerable unto Krishna. That is called as Mata Karma Krit. Okay. Then we come to Srila Prabhupada in his purport. He says we should be very, very conscious that when the results of the work come, so we performed when we do work, we definitely think about Krishna because we want good results. How many of us do that? How many devotees sit in the car and remember Krishna before they? How many of you all do that? Please raise your hands. How many of you have seen devotees do that? Namaste, Naras. And if somebody is not singing, I like, sing, please sing. I'm not sure whether, as a passenger, you should feel relieved or anxious. If you've been sufficiently long in ISKCON, you realize that the Narsingha prayers are used at certain very, very interesting moments in life, where you're in serious danger. Typically. So, a passenger and you find, person is singing. So, should we trust the driver is driving or not? So we do that? Yes. Correct? So it's easy to remember Krishna as we begin work because we know that the results are not within our control. But as soon as the results come to us, like after a drive, the passenger tells us, "Oh, thank you, Prabhu, it was such a smooth ride." You're like, "Oh, you're welcome." But actually it was Krishna. The first reaction is, "You're welcome." Because you like appreciation. And then if you're consciously aware that it should be offered to Krishna, then you say, "No, actually Krishna was blessing us." That comes. Does that happen when you start? When you remember Krishna as soon as you begin driving, don't you remember Krishna and you want him to be in control of the situation? Krishna, please be with me throughout the drive. And at the end of the drive, when it is done, and somebody gives you their appreciation, the first instinct would be, "Thank you." Therefore, mat karma krit means if we perform an action such that we are absolutely not attached to the result. Absolutely not attached. And how is that possible? Again, the same situation. You're on a drive and you reach a destination, you get out and the passenger comes out. Somebody just sees you coming out of the car. They don't see which side of the car you're coming out. They're like, "Oh, thank you for, reaching here, my home, safely." And if he looks at the passenger and says that, "Thank you for reaching here safely," what would the passenger do? You'd say, "No, the credit all goes to the driver." Would the passenger say, "Thank you, accept the credit"? No. The passenger would offer the credit to the driver. "This Prabhu, this Mataji, because of her or him, we've reached here safely." Right? So, what is detachment? Detachment is when you do not consider yourself to be the doer. So, what is mat karma krit? Mat karma krit means one should not be attached to the result of one's work. One should know that the result is only to be offered unto Krishna. So now, any thoughts on that? Do you think that it's very easy to be there? Well, if it was not going to be easy, then reaching Krishna also will not be so easy, isn't it? So we have to figure out a way to make that easy. Okay. Srila Prabhupada, then he throws in his, like a broker. They throw in some concession for you. Like, okay, this is the market price. This is what is expected. However, I'll not take my commission. Just for you, I'll not take my commission. So another 2% off. Doesn't that, when you go to a dealership, don't you hear that quite often? You're like, "Okay, can you bring down the price a little more?" "It's so difficult, it's not possible, this is how it is." But please wait a minute, let me look at the numbers again. The person comes back to you and says, "All right, I've had very good sales today, so maybe I could do away with my commission for you only." So Srila Prabhupada in reference to this, he says that let's suppose you are doing a business. So you don't have to give up doing your business. And then what kind of business? Let's say you are a builder. You construct houses. So you can construct a beautiful, beautiful house worth millions of dollars. and then donate it to Krishna. I feel so bad when I have to make a statement like this to people that work hard and make money, because I don't make money. So I feel it's unfair that you work, you make money, and then I make a statement that you should donate all of that to Krishna. Wow. Look at my guts. I mean, if this was not a decent crowd, I could easily have a punch on my face. It is so easy. Why don't you try, work, make money, and then donate it to Krishna? That is what I would receive back, right? But why is it? Why do I say that this is Prabhupada's concession? So Prabhupada says that when we hear about mat karma krit, then what are the activities that we are left with? It's just reading scriptures, chanting, isn't it? Living in the temple. That could be the only options that come to mind. But he says no. He says, if you are doing business, then you should offer your business to Krishna and know that he is the proprietor of your business. And you work for him. Since you work for him, whatever is needed by you, you can live in great luxury, no problem. That could be your need. But since you consider Krishna to be the proprietor, being the proprietor, Krishna's share should be the larger share. So if you're living in a $5 million, $10 million home with 20 rooms and 5 swimming pools, that's perfectly all right. However, your income should be at least $20 million, of which you have spent on yourself $5 to $10 million. He says, that is all right if you do that. Why? Because you can take that as your salary as you're working for Krishna. You could consider yourself to be serving Krishna's business. Alright? And you can receive that as a salary. And then he says that, okay, if you have built a big home, you offer it to Krishna and say, this is a temple. So now, the property is no longer yours, you're just a caretaker. But then he says, just because you have offered it to Krishna and you're the caretaker, doesn't mean that you have lost the opportunity to have a shelter or a house for yourself. You can also live in the temple and have that security of a house for yourself. And since you're dovetailing all of that into Krishna's service, this is also called as Mata Karma Krit. Does that make sense? So, please live in $10 million homes and make at least $25 million a month. It's good. Your expenses could be $10 million a month. No problem with that. You can have your own personal jet. But you should be making, when your expenses, monthly expenses is $10 million, you should be at least making a total of $20 to $30 million, so that Krishna's share is $15 to $20 million. Is that all right? Is that a problem? It's a good option, isn't it? But then he says that, okay, let's say you're not making $10 million, you're not even making $100. You're very poor. So that is also all right. You get connected to somebody who's very rich, who has offered his was construct a big house and offer it to Krishna, so it is a temple. You just go there into that temple and do some service there, even if you are very poor. And because you are rendering service there, for example, if you, let's say, if you do some janitorial services in some other corporate space, rather than do that, you can come here and do janitorial services at the temple. And don't expect anything in return, because you're a poor person. Why do you want anything in return except some nice prasad and a place in the ashram to sleep? And you can render services like that. So that is mat karma krit. So when that is your approach, mat karma krit, when you're making an offering of all of your work unto Krishna, whatever you use for your own personal needs, now that is prasad or remnants of what you have offered to Krishna. So when you consider it to be your salary, that actually is prasad, because Krishna is paying you for it. Krishna is giving you the means to live a comfortable life. So the more we go on looking at things from that perspective and performing actions from that perspective day in and day out, like we are 22 years old now, let's suppose, then every day of the year that we turn to be 23, we spend every action that we perform on every single day, we spend it with this approach. And wherever you are, whatever you are doing, whatever would be your situation in life, you are doing well. It is mat karma krit. Now, one mat parama. What is mat parama? Mat parama means this resolve that every other aspiration in life is like pieces of glass, and I'm not interested in pieces of glass fragments. I'm not interested in glass fragments. I want the precious diamond. That is what I'm interested in. So every other aspiration that I have is like pieces of glass, and those aspirations should simply be stepping stone towards receiving the diamond of my life. And what is the diamond of my life? Krishna. So Krishna is the only object of my achievement. Krishna is the only goal. I can have other goals as stepping stones. But even as stepping stones, they are as much worth as broken pieces of glass. That is their worth to me. However, they are stepping stones. If you're working in your garden and you need a step down and you don't have tiles, you don't have, sown there, what do? You need to have a step down. Do you go to the market immediately because the market may be closed? So how would you create that stepping space? One step down. What do? You use the dirt, you use the mud, you use the elements that are there in the garden and create that for yourself. Don't you do that? What is it worth? In terms of money, how much is it worth? Therefore, if tomorrow it kind of just gets washed away, you're like, okay, But if you have put marble steps and there's a crack in it, and it's like you could have acid reflux at night. Italian marble in your garden, cracked. So every time you have a visitor, they're like, oh, this is cracked. So they are They're admiring the cracked marble. They're not admiring it. They're pointing out a defect in it. Oh, that feels so bad, isn't it? But if it is just mud, it's all right. Baked clay, it's all right. All the attention that it gets is, oh, it needs to be worked on a little more, isn't it? When we have such an approach towards every other aspiration in life, be it program manager, team leader, team player, CEO, the king, all those achievements are simply stepping stones, worth as much as broken pieces of glass. So what is worthy enough is Krishna. So only Krishna is the goal. This is called as Mata Paramaha, topmost, the only, Parama, the greatest. So the greatest goal. So that, if that becomes our achievement, that is what we would like, that is where we zone in completely. We are zooming all of our energy and all of our time towards that goal. Then it is called as Mat Parama. So in all our enterprises, when Krishna alone becomes the highest purpose or the only purpose to be achieved, it is called as Mat Parama. Mat Parama is where through every single moment of our existence here in this material body, we are always working towards our aspiration of. And this aspiration is based on the consideration that the association of Krishna in the spiritual world is the only reality that exists. So when we have such a consideration in life that to go to the spiritual world and associate with Krishna in his supreme abode, and with this consideration, our aspiration is to achieve that goal, to go back home, back to Godhead. That is called as Mat Parama, which basically means that if you have any aspirations to go to a better place, if you trust Musk, trust him enough, then maybe Mars or the heavenly planet, Swarga Loka. If you have aspirations of that, stepping stones. They could be your stepping stones. Pit stop. Refuel. Just to refuel. Get more energy to focus on the goal of going back to Krishna, back home, back to Godhead. This is called as Mat Param. Even if we have a free ticket to one of the best associations here on the planet of Brahmaji, stepping stone, pit stop. Like, hey Brahmaji, I'm just coming in for 5 minutes, refuel, continue to the spiritual world. Mat Param. Even in the spiritual world, there is zoning in the spiritual world too. Like here we have zoning, commercial space, residential space, schools, gardens, we have zoning. So in the spiritual world there is zoning. What is zoning called as? Space for impersonalists, space for personalists. Among the personalists, space for those who want to worship Nrsimhadev, those who want to worship Varahadev. And there is this space called as Goloka Vrindavan. So for those who have understood how Golok Vrindavan is the special abode of Sri Krishna, and who have a strong affinity for the Supreme Lord Krishna, then Mat Paramam would mean reaching Sri Krishna in Sri Goloka Vrindavan and associating with Krishna. Okay? So that is Mat Parama. Then there is Mad Bhakta. What is Mad Bhakta? Mad Bhakta means a person who is completely unfit to function well in this material world. Tries his best because he has to live, but is actually unfit to function. It is like, since childhood, I had the aspiration to become a lawyer, but family pressure and peer pressure made me go and study programming. And I've become a programmer. How unfit do you feel there? If your aspiration since childhood is to be a lawyer, you studied law, you studied everything about it, you really love it, and you know you can be good at it, but family pressure, peer pressure, family needs, circumstances, take computer science, graduate in it, and work for Accenture. And from there, you want to jump to Amazon, Microsoft. But at heart, you want to be a lawyer. Circumstances are forcing you not to be able to pursue that thing. That is how a devotee feels in this material world. That is called as Mada Bhakta. At heart, simply wants to chant, dance, Shravan, Kirtan. You heard about these terms? Smaran, Vandan. You heard about these terms? You should. Otherwise, if you have come to ISKCON and you don't know these big words, these exotic sounding words, I mean, do we even qualify as followers of ISKCON? What do you think? Oh Prabhu, today we are going for Kirtan. No one says that we are going for Kirtan Mela. If you are not in ISKCON and you have family in India, try explaining to them how that is a Mela. They are like, do you have the merry-go-round? Who do you have? But we are in ISKCON, so Kirtan Mela for us is Kirtan Mela. Some or the other term seems okay. Correct? Is it true? Okay, all right. Let's put an end to my sarcasm right here. Mad Bhakta, who at heart simply wants to follow the 9 processes of devotional service. However, circumstances may make that person work at the grocer's, work at the dentist's, work in corporate spaces, but at heart, what the devotee, what that person simply wants is, I can just sit and all I should do is type Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. You know, if I want to send a mail to someone, all I do is Hare Krishna, Krishna. To my boss, Hare Krishna. That is what that person feels internally. But externally, what does the person have to do? So this is how we can crack that code. This problem has come up and this is the solution to it. Externally, they have to do that. But internally, what do they want to do? Hare Krishna, Krishna. That is called as Mada Bhakta. Okay? Such a person never feels that one can even accommodate love for anyone else except Krishna. One would like to have Krishna's love reflect off all our near and dear ones. But can we offer a love to any other personality? Would be difficult for that person. Because Mada Bhakta is sold out to the Supreme Lord. So that is called as Mother Bhakta. How many of you have fallen in love? Like girl-boy kind of love? And, okay. Do you know of somebody who's fallen in love? Friends, family members? Thank you. Yeah, you can put down your hand. How many of you you know of people like that? Somebody in your circle? You know, the boy-girl kind of love. You know, like the name saved as, I don't know, something like that. The love of my life or something like that. Dearest one or Babu or something like that. Someone whom I can never hate. Love, right? When you're under the influence of that strong emotion, love, it could be love for your country, love for animals, for the environment. When you're under the influence of that strong emotion, is it possible that because of that strong emotion, it can break other relationships? Is there a possibility? If other relationships seem like hindrances, do you think for love people would give up everything else? Yes? Isn't it a powerful emotion? Mad Bhakta means the devotee feels that kind of love for Krishna. That if there is any hindrance, they're like, I'm sorry. This is what I need to do. As I said, Krishna is not an ordinary living entity. So the disclaimer is, if you have such deep love for Krishna, Krishna is like the sun. His energy reflects off, bounces off every living entity in this world. So typically, if you have this deep connection with Krishna, and it would also manifest within all of your dealings within this material world, it would do that. So that is the disclaimer. We don't want to sound very harsh. We don't want to sound very narrow-minded when you say, only love for Krishna, therefore we break all other relationships. That sounds very narrow-minded, isn't it? But that's not how it manifests. How it manifests is wishing really well for every other entity in this creation. Because Krishna's reflection is such that it reflects off, his energy is such that it reflects off every entity in this creation. So in every situation, at all times and under all considerations, in connection with any objects or living entities, when we feel this deep love for Krishna, that expression is known as Mother Bhakta. And therefore such a devotee cannot stop thinking of Krishna or glorifying Krishna. There are examples of people who have such love for Krishna that they are always doing upacharas or offerings unto Krishna, the ghee lamp or offering of food. And such is the deep love for Krishna that even when they are in sleep, their hand moves like this. It's just muscle memory. These are examples in the present times. So, a very good friend of mine from long ago, like some decades ago, we were new recruits to the ISKCON ashram. Shaven-headed, lot of energy. So we were taught how to do arti, offering of lamp and other items to Tulasi. And because we are new recruits, well, we had to have the get-up. Dhoti, chadar, the shawl, the shawl should be such that the right hand should be exposed, the right shoulder, and the entire arm should be exposed, the left shoulder should be covered. You see. So performing. So I look at my friend. The friend is performing the arti to Tulsi. So you are supposed to consider Tulsi to be having a divine form. Alright? And you have to meditate on Tulsi, that we are offering to Tulsi's feet, Tulsi's different body parts. You're offering that lamp or the incense. So he goes flexion. This is extension. This is flexion. So his arm is flexed at the elbow. So when an arm is flexed at the elbow, there are some design, some features that manifest on your forearm. You try to flex it. What happens? How is the contour? So this is a well-built person, has been doing workouts, doing arti. So the contour here is bulging. He is watching his biceps. New recruit. Oh, I need to work out a little more. Oh yeah, it's going good, whatever. Those who do workouts, you can understand this. Isn't it? Like always, is it good? After you pick up, you're like, okay. You're looking at all the bulges. Correct? Mad Bhakta. A devotee cannot help. Even if they're working out, they're like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's like multitasking. You take care of the body. However, your focus is on your sweetheart. Who's the sweetheart? Krishna. Yes, so that is called as Mad Bhaktaha. So such a person is fully engaged in the various limbs of devotional service. What is Sangha Varjitaha? Detachment from attachments. Detachment from all kinds of attachments. It's like you find there are attachments, and if you realize those attachments are actually hindering you, so you go, you take the cutter and cut off the connection. So no more supply. No current. You should have the pliers. That is Sangha Varjita, the pliers in your life. Chop, 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 chop. So what are the attachments that could be there? Obviously wealth. Definitely. Isn't it? Anyone investing in stocks? And if you're a first-time investor, how many times do you look at your app in a day? Chop. Unless until you're day trading, it's no use looking at the app and seeing what the stocks are. You're in it for the long run, but can you help but not look at it? Oh, 5% increase, profit, 5.1. You got so excited. Maybe another 5 minutes and then it can go to 5.2%. Sangha Varjitaha. Isn't it? Sangha Varjitaha. Children, like sons, daughters. For those who are in India, it's easy to be detached from daughters but not from sons, because somehow or the other, I have no idea why that should be the consideration, but like, a daughter never belongs to us. She's someone else's property. How the hell does that even make sense? But it's easy, right? You may have lots of love for your daughter, but there's always the understanding that, oh, she's going to go away. Therefore, scripture will always say detach from sons. They never say detach from daughters, because that is how society thinks. When the scriptures are written and they were being explained to us, when the written word was there, the spoken word, we do not know how it was spoken. But when the written word was there, if they had written down detachment from daughters, people would have been shocked. Like, who's attached to daughters anyway? Aren't daughters supposed to be like goddess? You cannot be attached to goddess. Goddess just blesses you and goes away. Interesting perspective. But sons can never be gods, you know. So Sangha Varjita means becoming free from the attachment to wealth, sons, daughters, friends, wife, husband, relatives, WhatsApp groups. Becoming detached from all of that. So Sangha means fondness. Sangha means attachment. Sangha means association. Varjitaha means going away, giving up that fondness that you have. It's called as Sangha Varjitaha. Specifically, one should try and at least internally and emotionally dissociate with people who are unfavorable towards Krishna. One may have dealings with them out of lot of respect. One may have concerns from them because of one sense of duty. One may even have affection for them because we are grateful to them for whatever they have provided to us. However, if they are against Krishna, and specifically if they consider Krishna to be an ordinary person, someone who just like us is bound to the cycle of birth and death, then we must have detachment towards such personalities. Let me give you an example, because again this could seem to be very harsh, especially in terms of husband-wife relationship, family relationships, spouse relationships, and more specifically in terms of parent-children relationship. So if one's parent is not a devotee and I am a devotee, does that mean I have to dissociate completely from my parents? So let us take an example. Prahlad Maharaj and his father Hiranyakashipu. What do you think? Was Prahlad detached from his father? Dissociated from his father? Or was Prahlad having a healthy, affectionate relationship for his father? What is your consideration? What do you think?
Affection.
So, let us look at the side of affection. After Hiranyakashipu lost his life, what did Prahlad express with relationship to his father? Affection. He said, my father, he was always thinking about what is best for me. My dear Lord, please if you want to give me any benediction, then what I seek is that you please liberate him. Isn't that affection? Did Prahlad ever follow his father's instructions that would take him away from Krishna?
No.
Did he ever do that? So that is called as detachment, even in family relationships. And did Prahlad ever revolt against Hiranyakashipu? No. He was patient and persistent. He was persistent and had great determination. At the same time, he was extremely respectful towards his father. So it's not an easy task to be in a situation like that in such relationships. However, these references help us to understand what it means to have the quality of Sangha Varjitaha. Okay? So, detachment from all such fondness that we have. Atheists, impersonalists, I am from Maharashtra, India. This is how we deal in the Maharashtrian way in India. आम्ही जातो आमच्या गावा आमचं राम राम घ्यावा. So if we meet people who are not favorable, we say, आम्ही जातो आमच्या गावा. So I will go my way. Practice my Krishna consciousness. Please accept my respects unto your lotus feet. आमचा राम राम घ्यावा. This is a statement by a famous saint, Sant Tukaram. Alright? Sangha Varjita. Anything that is favorable for Krishna consciousness, we accept. Anything that is unfavorable for Krishna consciousness, we give up. This is called as Sangha Varjita. Giving up all that is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Okay. And finally, Nirvairaha. Everyone here is working for some institute, company. Everyone here in this room, you work? Ever feel that you're being exploited? The amount of work? Did I hit a nerve? They make us work so much. Feel like that? Okay. How many of you would be at this stage of your life, your existence, how many of you would be ready to work with the proposal that someone gives you a salary of, let's say, 500K? Let's make it $1 million. $1 million. I mean, ask Amazon and they may give you this option. $1 million. In return, for the next 1 year, you have to work 24/7. Every day, including weekends, you'll have to work 14 hours a day, minimum. $1 million. Let's make it 2 million. How many of you are ready to consider that proposal? When I say, you're like, I'm never going to get 2 million, forget it. But actually they are making this offer to you. If they make this offer to you for 1 year, in the present times, 2025, you are there working in these companies and you get this offer. You have been selected for this offer. No, really speaking, would you kind of think that, okay, for 1 year, after that I'll make a lot and then retire and never ever go back? I mean, yeah, that's not going to happen, but still you can fool yourself by thinking like that. But would it be too difficult to consider that offer? Would it be very difficult to consider the offer, or would you give it some consideration, like, okay, let me talk it over with my family and let's see, would they be okay with it? Would you want to try and do it?
Yeah.
Honestly. That's why you're there in the job market, right? You're there to make money. And make money as quickly as possible, isn't it? Are you here to just, okay, whatever pay I get, it's okay, I just want to stay like that for the next 20 years? No. Correct? So if that offer is there, so every pain that we go through has a price that we are ready to accept and undertake that pain. Is it true? Okay. Once that is done, once you have had your $1 million, are you going to speak? Once it is done, you have given in your resignation from that company, you go on to another company, you take on a little more easy-going job. You have sufficient, you collected sufficient enough, and most probably now you want to transition to another role, which is a little easy-going. Good case scenario, that could be, would it be something that you could look forward to? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are you going to speak good about the company where you worked and the work atmosphere there? Or would it be very, very easy for you to be critical about it, but then you say, all right, anyways, you made the deal with the devil, so live with it. What would be your approach? Would it be too difficult to feel critical about the work atmosphere, the structure that is there? Would it be very difficult, or would it be easy enough?
Easy.
Wouldn't that be easy enough? Like after you've done work, hey man, don't go for that. I did it. I know what I had to go through. I would never do it again. It was so horrible. Would that be how you express yourself or no? Yes? Should express yourself like that? What is Sangha Varjita Nirvairaha? Nirvairaha means you should not be instigated in that way. You made your choices. You knew what you were getting into. You don't come out of it feeling, what is it called as? The statement short something, right? I forget. Turn. Somebody can help me? No. Shorted. Like you got a very bad hand. Yeah, a bad hand. Then you don't come out of that situation feeling that you were dealt a bad hand. And you accept responsibility for the choices that you made. And be grateful that you had the opportunity to make so much money, because that was one of your goals. And you understand that it was Krishna that helped you achieve your goals according to your choices. Then you do not feel critical about any other living entity or situation in this world. That is called as Nirvaira. Now, I could have easily said that you should not feel envy for other living entities, and then you would have come back to me with the question that, Prabhuji, sometimes people behave this way and that way, and I would say, yes, that is true. I don't want to go down that road. I've been there quite a lot. So what is Nirvaira? Nirvaira is where we take ownership of the choices that we have made. With those choices, we knew that we were going to be dealt a bad hand. But the consequences or the results were what we were looking at. So when we come out of that situation, although it has really taken a lot from us, we are still grateful that we could achieve our goal. We know that it was Krishna that helped us achieve our goal. It is Krishna that, because we were so anxious to achieve that goal, Krishna allowed us to survive, sustain through all that rigor. And thus, seeing Krishna's hand, not just in the work structure that is there, seeing Krishna's hand in all those people that we had to report to, and seeing Krishna's hand in receiving the benefits of all the work that we put in through that intense phase, saves us from being critical about others, about the situation, and helps us being grateful. So life is going to throw up challenges, especially if you have a material body. And therefore, somebody who's devoted towards serving Krishna, that person does not feel, does not have any negativity towards any other living entity, knowing very well that every living entity and every object, every situation is sustained by Krishna's energy. It is Krishna personally present in all situations, in every atom, and in the heart of every living entity. Yes? Nirvaira also means that any opportunity that you find which is favorable to express to another person, like your colleague, your boss, your co-workers, or the big party that you are at when your company is giving out extra bonus above $2 million. At such events, any favorable moment, and you understand very well that every single co-worker, every single team member has also been through that grind, and I am saved because of my perspective towards life, knowing that Krishna is always supportive of me. They, because they may not be aware of Krishna, they will definitely feel regret or they will be critical later on. I need to help them. I need to give them Krishna so that they can also live through this and feel fulfilled even after giving up that position. So a nirvaira is a person who has no negativity towards any object or person in this world, and at the same time wants to help others who could, because of lack of knowledge and understanding, face situations where they become very, very negative towards persons and objects in this world. So that is nirvaira. And if we tick all these 5 boxes, mat karma krit, mat parama, mat bhakta, sangha varjita, nirvaira, sarva bhuteshu, yo sa mameti. Then Krishna says, hey, permanent visa and immigration status granted. Come, you're a permanent resident of Goloka Vrindavan. And if we, in our so-called stupid cleverness, we ask Krishna, and Krishna, what are the benefits and perks there? Now, sometimes we think we are very clever in our stupidity. You know that situation? Okay. So in that situation, we ask Krishna, any perks, benefits of coming to your place? Krishna says, 24/7 you have me. I am available to you 24/7. Mam eti, mameti, pandava. You come unto me. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So any thoughts about what we discussed?
Prabhu, thank you so much for a wonderful class. I was just thinking about those five qualifications, right? And I felt like if one is Madhbhakta, if you meet that qualification, then all other remaining qualifications should be automatically made. So what's your thought on that?
That's a very interesting point. So you feel that if one works on this one quality of Mad Bhakta, then the other 4 qualifications are met. Isn't it? So, should we ask Krishna to change something? What should we do?
I'm sure like I'm missing some pieces.
Okay, let's see. Mat karma krit. Alright? When we say Mad Bhakta, how do we justify that by being a devotee of Krishna, this quality of offering the results of one work to Krishna is fulfilled? How could we justify that? Is there a way we can justify it?
Yeah, because they will be doing everything for Krishna because they don't see anything else.
So wouldn't the logic apply vice versa too? If you're doing everything for Krishna, then you're actually a devotee of Krishna.
Sorry?
If you're offering all the results of your work unto Krishna, then you're automatically a devotee of Krishna. So
Right.
wouldn't that also be the logic?
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
It's circular logic, right?
Yes. Thank you.
So each of these qualities is related to how we function on the physical platform and the emotional or psychological platform. It addresses all of those platforms. Is that helpful?
Makes sense.
It just addresses the composite form of our existence.
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? Yes,
I just
you need the mic. It's not working.
Hare Krishna.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
the last point that you made was about being at a bad hand. Somehow when I was thinking about that point, I also felt that when we think of yes, being dealt a bad hand in that example that you gave about the past, that is one thing, and to be then grateful about the results and the bad hand in itself, the past, that probably is a little easier, but there could be future ramifications also yet to come.
Right.
And that bad hand sort of continues in that. And then to be grateful even knowing that such implications are going to happen, somehow I was thinking that might be more difficult.
Okay.
So how do we deal with such situations and also be grateful in such situations?
So when we spoke about how in very extreme circumstances we feel that we've been dealt a bad hand, so that's about the past, right? What if in the future, and it seems quite likely that in the future also this could happen, right? It could continue. So that seems to be more concerning. Is that the question?
So
It seems like a very, very dark picture.
So the choices you've made, sort of, it doesn't end. Of course, that is the end of that. He got his
Right.
money and all that. But then the choices he made, probably the bandit sort of still continues forward. And in that situation, how to be grateful?
Correct. So we made choices and we know that these are the results that are definitely going to come sooner or later. So in that situation, what should be our conscious approach? Or should we keep our sanity basically? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay. past is that which we can, with all our belief, our trust, we can say that this is how it exists. There's no changing that. The thing about future is that if we start predicting the future, then we are kind of what is the word when you overstep your jurisdiction?
Cross the line.
Cross the line? Yeah. When we start predicting the future, we are crossing the line. We are overstepping our jurisdiction. Because the future, the way it can be predicted, if it is known, it can only be known by time. No one else has the ability. So because predicting the future is very, very volatile. It can manifest in any ways. Despite all of our calculations, the future can manifest in any ways. There can be certain trends that we can consider. But since the future is so unknown, it brings up a very helpful tool that we can use. In the past, there was bad choices we made. If we can call it bad choices, we can say choices that we made, which has created a present that is not very helpful, and it seems that the future could be bleak too. However, the present gives you an opportunity to see if you can change the future that could come about. For example, the future is that I've lost everything and 1 month from now I'm going to be bankrupt. I'm just trying to, okay, I'm going to be criticized for this controversy. But let's look at this. Let me just put it there. So, where am I going to be liable for that? For my actions? Wherever the law applies to me. What if I escape from that place? I'm not saying you should do that, cheat other people and run away. Our present actions always can reshape our future. So if we have really sharp intelligence, then there are sufficient ways in this world that we can find loopholes. Actually, the loopholes have already been put in place by people who think they are the intelligentsia. So we need just to access that. Okay. So no future is as bleak as you imagine, because it does not exist at all. It is still morphing. Hence, never ever trust your future in the present. Trust your present and understand that your past is there to stay with you throughout. That is unchangeable. So you cannot trust the past because there's nothing you can do about it. The future does not exist. In fact, from the point of, let's say, strict logic, probability, the future is 50%, you will be in good hands, 50% in bad. That is the future. That's probability, isn't it? The law of chance, isn't that what it is? So be very, very ruthlessly calculative based upon the law of chance while trying to predict your future. Very ruthless. It could be yes or it could be a no. Right now I do not know. So I have to work towards the yes and see if I can manifest that. Right? And look at history. Every person person who had great plans and resources, at one point of time, because of, we wouldn't say miscalculation, but because of predicting the future and depending on that prediction, had a different outcome come at some point of their life. Any conqueror, any businessman, an ordinary citizen, like, are you married? I'm not sure if this would be true in your case, but there is a possibility that you could have said that, hey, I never knew that I could be married to you. I was thinking that it would be someone else. I mean, it's not a good statement to be made after marriage, but but that's true. Unless until you are in a relationship before marriage, if it is an arranged marriage, is that what you paid for? You don't know the package that comes, isn't it? But then if you start predicting, oh, this is the partner that I'm looking for, this partner should be educated, should support me, and all. If it is an arranged marriage, you'll definitely find that you've been dealt a bad hand. Whether it's husband or wife, boy or girl. Why? Because you had built all that castle, and practically it would take, only Krishna could be the Narayan, the only, or Lakshmi ji could be the only person who could fulfill that. So, anyone who is very, very, very cold in their approach towards predicting the future, really cold, is a person who would have the abilities to deal with whatever the future brings forth. Is that right? In the Vedic terms, therefore, they say, oh, you are a sadhu. Therefore, for you, you're free from all those entanglements, because they made this, they were very, very, I would say, ruthless in making this choice. Very cold in their approach. And hence, a future that others think is manifesting for them is manifesting in the eyes of others. Make sense? Alright. So stay away from predicting your future, please. I mean, you may want to grow in a particular way. However, we should not spend time in predicting a future. We should just make plans. Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. Just make plans. If this goes, if it does not happen, then what? Is it all right? Okay. Should we stop here? Any other questions or? Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for nice lecture. Please excuse me if the question is like stupid or something. So I was just, I'm not confused, but I just want more clarification. The like Mat Karma Krit here, engaged in doing my work, is it the advanced stage of what Krishna says in Karma Meva Vikaraste, like do the work without attachment? So that also Krishna recommends, right? Like if you want to go in path of devotional service, you should not be attached to your action. But here Krishna is saying you should also do my work, you know. So how is it the advanced stage of that? You become detached, and then also, like you mentioned, for us as a grihastha, for example, for any grihastha who is, say, working in farm or anywhere, for him to be detached, like he can just think, I'm supporting my family, and you know, not in that way he's just working and doing offering to Krishna. But if we say, like you mentioned, we have to give almost 50% or something like that, right? I mean, whatever we earn. So I'm just trying to understand, this is more different from that and it's more advanced that we should follow that, or is the same thing, like being detached from your work is same as engaging in qualification as service.
Okay, let me see. I think there were 2 points that you want to be addressed. One is doing Krishna's work. My work means Krishna's work, right? And second is giving half to Krishna.
Yes, how it is different from that
And
verse?
how is it
Karma
different from
Nivadikaras.
the verse, or is it is the principle the same as in the verse Karmanya Vadhikaraste, where Krishna says you have to work without attachment? Correct? So let's consider the first one. I would take up the verse. I don't remember the verse number, so I would request somebody to quickly.
Which was true?
Karmanya Vadhikaraste, it is 4 point something?
247.
2 point something?
247.
247. So do you have the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
Please go to chapter 2, verse number 47. If you have the physical book, good enough. If it's on your phone. Did you have it? Do you have it there?
Yeah, on my
Do you have the verse?
Yeah.
All right. If you just want to go to the translation, a word for word meaning, do you see anywhere it is being mentioned that work without attachment?
Yes, the last, never be attached to not doing your duty.
Not doing,
Yeah.
right? But does it say work with detachment or work without attachment? My proposal is that is not a verse. That is not what the verse says.
Yeah.
That is my proposal. My proposal is that the verse speaks about adhikar, or what are you entitled to, or what you should not feel entitled to. Okay? So it does not speak about the entitlement or lack of entitlement of work itself. It says work must be done. That is what the verse is saying. Right? Karmanya eva. Definitely you'll have to work. You must work. And therefore, one of the clauses towards the end is that you should not be attached to not working. So you should work.